Hello you guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new monthly budget video, which is kind of crazy that it's already October. I feel like I literally just filmed my September budget video, but I guess to be fair, we were traveling for like a better half of the month. So the month did fly by quick. This is going up a little bit later than usual. I think you guys are seeing this on the 3rd or the 4th. I'm not quite too sure which day yet, but I've been a bit of a hot mess this month, as we all know. Not really with my finances, but like tracking my finances I have. And that's just because obviously we had our trip. I was home for, a day and a half. Then I flew out on a work trip. I came home. I ended up getting a really bad like head cold, sinus cold. And then I didn't even input anything for the whole month until yesterday, which was technically a new month. I tried to keep on top of my inputting expenses on payday. I have a payday routine and a monthly budget routine, and this is just your sign to keep things super simple. I used to think I had to have like a daily money routine and a weekly money routine and a this and a that, and for me at least, when there's a lot of steps involved in any routine, morning routine, a Sunday reset, whatever it may be, it makes me really avoidant to do it. And so for me at least, I need simplicity. So I keep my budget and my monthly budget routine super simple. It's like 4 steps, going over my previous month's budget, closing it out, adding any last minute expenses, double checking my pay stubs because I do work hourly, making sure those are accurate, going over my credit card, making sure that there's no unauthorized expenses. Obviously we traveled a lot this month, so making sure that those like hotel charges and car rental charges fell off, the ones you do like the hold, like the authorization charges. Then I will reflect on my finances and take what I've learned from this month and things I maybe want to improve on or things I did well, transfer it over into the next month's budget and getting that ready, pay off any credit card balances, and then just check in on my savings and my sinking funds. And that's really it. I like to keep it super simple. I am also going to talk a little bit more about my business finances this month. A lot of you guys really enjoyed that I talked about it last month when it came to like travel and planning travel and all that. So I'm going to try and open up about it a little bit more. It makes me nervous, which kind of leads me into a let's just chat about where I am with money. I think that this is so important to do even if you don't put your finances online or share personal finance content, is to just have a check-in, whether it's like journaling it or maybe you have like a Notion page where you write down your thoughts about money. I typically will kind of take a look at my finances and see where I'm at and then kind of jot down my money thoughts, whether it's reflecting on the previous month or just how I'm feeling as a whole. I'm feeling at a crossroads, honestly, and that's more not about like my personal finances, but just about like what I want to share. I think that sharing personal finance content online is honestly one of the most like vulnerable niches to be in, because truthfully, there are always going to be people out there who think that you can do something better and be better, save more, invest more, spend less on groceries. I think it can be a really toxic niche to be in, if I'm quite honest. And part of the reason why I took a big break from sharing my personal finance content is I was just like tired of, it's ironic because a lot of us budget so that we don't keep up with the Joneses, but then it kind of just feels like that saying, keeping up with the Joneses all the time, of like, they're saving XYZ, I should be saving that much, or I should be making that much, or I should be spending that much on groceries. And I think it can just become such a like comparative space. Let's say you think $300 a month is really great for where you're at with spending groceries. Someone's gonna say that they spent $200 or $300 is too high, or you should really focus on cutting out this or adding this, and you shouldn't be spending your money on this and you shouldn't spend your money on that, and I got a better deal on jeans than this. And I think it's such a tricky space to be in. Just mentioned, I feel like this is a very vulnerable space to be in, a very vulnerable niche. I have a lot of conflicting emotions on finances, I feel like, in the last few months. I have a lot of imposter syndrome when it comes to social media, and I'm getting better. I'm learning to like be proud of myself. And the thing for me is I always ask myself, like, why do I deserve this and someone else doesn't? But then I remember that there is space for everybody here and there's space for everybody's success. And so I'm improving in that sense. I feel very undeserving. A lot of it is rooted in my money and money growing up and money trauma and all that. And even just struggling with my finances in my teen years and my early adult years, I don't feel deserving. I am living my absolute dream. I'm living the dream, but I can't be happy about it. I feel so much guilt. I know that I work hard. I'll never say social media is a hard job. It's not, but I work hard balancing a corporate job and social media. And it's one of those things that the more effort you put in, especially with YouTube, right? YouTube is one of the only platforms, because in TikTok you can't make money in the creator fund, that you don't need brand deals to make money. And obviously the more videos you upload, the more ads there are, the more money you make. There's certain seasons that perform better. Like fall to me is like my best season. The more videos I upload, the more money I make, and I work harder some months and I make more money. I just feel a lot of guilt with everything kind of going on in the world, and that I'm not deserving of it. And because of that, I haven't been really paying myself much this year. And part of it comes from like me just like not feeling worthy of it. Like I have this money just sitting in my business account and I'm not on a salary. I pay myself like a dividend system, but I've really slowed down on paying myself. I think it also comes from a scarcity mindset of like if something happens, like I don't really know, but the biggest emotion I feel is guilt. I'm trying to find ways to work on that and like live with a gratitude mindset and, you know, really be generous with my loved ones. But I honestly really struggle with it. I've always worked multiple jobs, so I don't know why I find it different now than if I, let's say, had like a part-time job and I worked a lot of my part-time job to pay for trips and stuff like that. But I just have a lot of guilt. One of the things I told myself when I started making money on social media, and if I were to ever grow my social media, is that my lifestyle would not change. And I think we've done a really good job of that. And we've had opportunities, of course, and getting to work with the Disney team is a huge one for us, right? But day to day, my life hasn't changed. And I've done, I think, such a good job of ensuring that for myself. You know, at my core, I love to thrift and I love a good deal. And I honestly love making meals at home with my husband and having coffee at home. Like, I don't think my lifestyle has changed much. And I always told myself that if I were to ever make money on social media, or if I were to really do well for myself, I would just put that money into savings and investments. And that is what I want to do. But I feel like I've just had this like big hurdle when it comes to paying myself. And I don't know if it's because it's in a separate account now and it doesn't all flow through the personal account, so I don't consider it mine. But if I made $60,000 or if I made $200,000, like at my core, I'm still the same person. And I don't like want people to treat me differently because of it. And you know, you see that online. I'm rooting for the personal finance girlies on the internet. I'm rooting for everybody on the internet, but I just see so often how people are just so quick to change up how they think about someone when they talk about how much money they make as a creator or this or that. And I commend people like Ella, if you guys watch her, who are just like, she just like goes for it and doesn't care. And I mean, I don't like need to pay myself. Like, I obviously still have a corporate job and I try my best to like live off of that as much as possible, because I am very aware that like social media could leave tomorrow. And that's also a big reason why I try not to pay myself a lot, because I want to be able to like live off of my corporate income. I just feel guilty. Like I just feel so much guilt and I don't know what to do about that. And it makes me not want to share personal finance content. And you know, like this month I paid myself from the business and I was able to meet my savings goals and my investing goals because of it. And I also have to remember too that like I went part-time at work and I have been working more full-time hours the last few months, but I dropped down my hours at work. And so I'm trying to remember that like it's okay to pay myself from social media, because like I have to. Like I dropped back at work so that I could focus on social media, which meant paying myself from social media. And I don't know, at my core, if I made $3,000 in a month or $6,000 in a month, like I'm still the same person. I do my best to like be generous and contribute. And, you know, I have been donating monthly to like humanitarian funds since last October and November, and when the Israel-Palestine all that happened. And so I've been like donating to that monthly, and I donate so much because I want to be like generous to my community and give back, and I volunteer and all these things. But I don't want people to like think differently of me, I think, because at my core, like I'm just the same person no matter how much money I make. And I guess more just like about like income and stuff, I'm really fortunate that I do have a really good paying corporate job. But I think it's interesting too, because like what if I made like $5,000 or $6,000 a month at my corporate job? I feel like no one would bat an eye at it. But then like with social media, I don't know, it's just like a very tricky thing to navigate, and I'm really struggling with it. So I think I have a bit of a scarcity mindset because the first 6 months of the year were not great. There wasn't a lot of like brand deal opportunities and stuff, which is fine, which is why I'm so happy I still have a corporate job and I can rely on that income. But I think now that brand deals are picking back up, I'm like living in the scarcity mindset of like just leaving everything in my business account and like not like taking from it. But even my accountant was like, the money is there, like you may as well pay yourself and do something with it. But later on in the video, I'll kind of take you guys through maybe my like process when it comes to business finances and like what bills and subscriptions come out of there, and like kind of how I do my monthly budget over there, like just in terms of like the steps, in case you guys are interested. But yeah, that's just how I'm feeling. I'm kind of struggling. September was a little bit of a crazy, chaotic month, obviously. And what I started doing, this has been so helpful for me as a visual person, is I started color coding my budget when I have different income streams coming in and where that money is going. Because for example, this month we sold things on Facebook Marketplace. Matt sent me some e-transfers. I used sinking funds. I paid myself from the business. And when I have those like 6 different forms of income, I'm trying to figure out what went where. And so I've started color coding it, which has been really helpful and hopefully really helpful for you guys too, to see kind of like where that money went. Let's go over my September budget super quick. And then as always, I'll have this budget spreadsheet linked down below. I do tweak the colors and tweak a few things. So when you download it, it'll be a bit more colorful. Yeah, it's not my budget spreadsheet. It's just one that I have found on Etsy that I love. I love trying new spreadsheets out and sharing them with you guys. And this is the one I've been using for a better half of the year so far. Let me pull up my September budget for you guys and we can go through that. All right, welcome to the September budget. So kind of like I mentioned, I started color coding things so you guys could see where it's going, but don't worry, we'll get into all of that. This is pretty much closed out from September because it is October now, and like I said, I'm a little behind on this. So let's start at the top here. If you watched last month's budget video, my rollover was actually around $1,400–$1,500 when I ended the month off. And remember when I said I never make big purchases at the end of the month? We did. We bought a dining table. We went to IKEA. We've been struggling to find a dining table that was in our budget, like under $750 Canadian. We found one at IKEA and we loved it and we bought it. So I had a decent amount of rollover, and I knew that September were going to be high income months for me with my corporate job, with like traveling and working full time. So I was kind of okay going into the month with a bit lower of a rollover. That's why my rollover is a bit lower. It was $1,400, now it's $858. Okay, income this month was a bit higher than usual just because of some various money that came in. We've got my 2 paychecks here, which were higher than usual. This is pretty much close to full-time hours for me. I did pay myself from the business this month, so I sent myself a dividend of $1,500. Miscellaneous income, that is from Facebook Marketplace. And then I used $900 in sinking funds, and then Matt sent me $900 of an e-transfer. Normally when I share like a purchase amount and I split, I don't put it into my income category, and then I just budget off of my half of the item. But I thought just to kind of see money coming in and money coming out, it could be kind of helpful for you guys. My half of this like travel that we took would be, what was it, like $895? I would just put like $895 here, not the full amount, and then I just like wouldn't include the e-transfer from Matt, but technically it came into my account, so I thought I'd kind of get a bit more specific. This was selling some furniture in my office, and I used that, as you guys can see here. I used all of it, and then I used a little bit of my own money to buy my Xbox. Now, this is where it kind of like sometimes can get tricky. So I did sell my iMac as well, but I bought that from the business. So that money like was an e-transfer sent back to the business. And then I bought a new monitor, but that is a business expense. So that went through the business. But this was like, I sold a dresser and a papasan chair, and I didn't consider the Xbox a business expense. I am so scared of business expenses in the CRA. So I try to be like really careful. Obviously, if you were in the gaming niche, right, and that was the content you made, you could obviously write off an Xbox and games and stuff. I don't. Maybe one day I will if I do like a game review or something, but I consider the Xbox more of like for me than the business, and I wasn't gonna film like gaming content. So that's why it was a personal expense. That is kind of all the income this month that came in. Now let's go over, I guess, where that income went to. So now let's go over all the categories, and then I'll share with you guys kind of like what income went where in case you guys are curious. So expenses, groceries were under budget a little bit, which is great. We actually went into September with groceries. I did a brand deal with Metro, which was so fun. It's like one of our favorite grocery stores, and because I was filming a brand deal of me grocery shopping, I was able to expense the groceries, and they actually offered to like reimburse me for them too, but you obviously can't like double dip. I can't expense them and get reimbursed. So we went into September with a decent amount of groceries. I think technically my actual grocery spending this month was around $200. 75 of this was like a pre-trip haul. I needed like a new hairbrush, a new toothbrush, stuff like that, but I don't have a category for it. I feel like I try to keep things simple with my budget, and so I didn't make a separate category for like home goods. I don't know, what would you guys call that? Like when you buy toilet paper and stuff like that, where do you guys put that? Do you have a separate category in your budget? I would love to know, honestly. So technically, grocery wise, I think we only spent close to $200 because we had those groceries from Metro. Eating out, I spent nothing. Technically we ate out, but it was like on our trip, so that came from our travel sinking fund. Eating out, $0 for me. Coffee, I spent $13.57. Miscellaneous shopping, $193.30. This was only 3 purchases. I did not bring a lip balm with me to California, and so I had to buy a lip balm at Sephora, and it was $36 Canadian because the dollar is trash right now. I went to go and order one on like, because we didn't have a car in California, I went to go order one from like not Uber Eats, but like Instacart, and it was gonna cost me the same thing to have it delivered. So I just got one from Sephora, which I'm gonna treasure that lip balm with my life. And then 86 of this was on a wedding guest dress for Brianna and Corey's wedding. And then I ordered 3 pairs of leggings from Halara. That was $60. I think that was such a good deal. They were $25 each, and then I found like one of those honey coupons. I love Halara leggings. They're my absolute favorite in the entire world. I've worked with them before. I love their stuff so much. So that was that. So overall, like, it was just 3 bigger purchases this month, but I'm not upset about it by any means. Appointments was on track. I got my nails done. Car and gas was a little bit higher because I went into the office a few times, and I do pay for parking. It's $15 a day to park at the hospital. So love that. Home, I spent $50. That was on 2 extension cords and like an outlet cover for our bedroom. No money on gifts, no money on activities. And then we spent $17.91 on all of our travel. I did a breakdown in a last video of what we were spending personally versus business on this trip, since it was like a 3-part trip. I'll do the travel breakdown with you guys in a second. Hobbies, that was my Xbox, and then I did buy a few games. And then seasonal, that was, I think, probably some Halloween decor. We did have our property taxes this month. We pay that twice a year. So that was our last payment for the year. As you guys know, my husband and I split all bills that have to do with both of us. So we split our mortgage. Property taxes we split. So our property taxes were $606. Our property taxes for the year are $1,200 Canadian. Car payment and car insurance, those are obviously my own, has his own car, so we don't split that cost. And then my 2 subscriptions, Netflix and Aura Ring. Most of my subscriptions are through the business. All right, I am pretty proud of myself this month because I was able to save some money, which is great. I really did not feel like I was making any progress. I talked about this, I think it was back in May, how obviously we have an older home. It's like a bit of a surprise fixer-upper, and so for Matt and I, it was both a really big adjustment because we were putting a lot more money into the house, but I feel like I'm finally at a good point now. And so I was able to put some money in my emergency fund, which is great because I have contributed to it throughout the year, but we've been pulling it for home emergencies. So really hoping I can still get to my goal of $10,000 by the end of the year. And then I did put a bit more money into my investments than normal. I put some extra money into my RSP because it was really, really close to 10,000, and I just like wanted to get it there. Now I can focus on getting my TFSA to 10,000. So I put 700 to just be like done and ready with it. Those were the savings and investments this month. And as you guys can see here, so I paid myself $1,500 from the business, and 1,000 of that went into my emergency fund, and then 300 of that went to my TFSA, and then technically 200 of that went into my RSP, and then the 500 of that was like out of my own pocket, like my paychecks, but that's where my business pay went from. My miscellaneous income, 400 of that went towards hobbies, and then the 142 was mine out of pocket. Sinking funds and e-transfer from Matt, that made up our travel category here. So hopefully that's helpful to you guys too, to kind of just like see where the money is going. So we can break down the travel expenses. A lot of them are just like big expenses. So we always get our friends a dog sitting gift. They were watching the girls for 8 days, and they're the best. We watch each other's dogs, but I wanted to get them a little something. Brianna and Corey's wedding gift was, you know, $222 of that. Overall, we spent about $250 on souvenirs between all 3 trips. We put most of our Disneyland souvenirs on gift cards that we got from our wedding reception. However, there was probably like maybe, I don't know, $50 or so that we paid out of pocket once those gift cards ran out. And then honestly, close to 100 of this was souvenirs from my mom. She's always wanted to go to Salem, and I, once again, like, I love giving back to my parents. My parents sacrificed so much for us to have a good life growing up, and especially as an adult now, I see how much they went through, and so I love treating my parents as much as I can. So I bought them a ton of souvenirs as well. So we did a little Trader Joe's run. Our hotel in New Haven was pretty expensive. We typically try to stay somewhere a bit more budget friendly. However, we wanted to just be close by because of like the welcome dinner and in case she needed anything like day of. So we tried to stay a little bit more central, but we had a rental car. Looking back on it now, we probably could have stayed a little bit further out, but it is what it is. It was a really nice hotel, really safe, and great distance from like Yale. It was homecoming weekend, I think, at Yale when we were there, so the hotel prices were a little bit crazy. And then just like miscellaneous food and all of that kind of stuff. So that was kind of the travel breakdown. Like I said, a lot of it was just like big expenses, like the hotel, that's like half already right there. And then the gifts and stuff added up quick. But that is the budget for September. And like I said, we're left kind of here with $13.98. So now is the time I would kind of reflect and see like, okay, what from September went well? What do I want to incorporate into October? If I overspent in any categories, maybe now's the time to do like a little bit of a challenge, lower it. I will say the bulk of our spending in September did come from a lot of that travel. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how September went. This is the one thing about the spreadsheet I find harder because you can't budget off of the rollover amount. Like there's no way to input it here. So I have to input it as an income. So keep in mind that this income is going to be higher than this because it includes the rollover of like $14.65, which is a little bit higher than we had at the end of the month in September. We ended up having about like $75 in cash left over from our trip from like Canadian and USD. So I went and converted that and put it back in the bank account. My paycheck for, well, this Friday will be pretty low because it's only a week worth of work. I don't get paid vacation since I technically do work a part-time job. Also why I wanted to have a little bit more rollover in the account. Second paycheck should be a bit higher because I'll pretty much be working full-time hours or close to at least 4 days a week. I am going to try and pay myself from the business this month and we will see how that goes. And then I have $100 left in my sinking funds from travel since we only spent about $900 and I had $1,000 put aside. I'm going to highlight this because I'm going to use that towards this travel expense. My job covers my flight, my hotel, my rental car, etc. And we get a certain allowance per meal. And obviously things are just like kind of expensive right now. So there's a few meals that like I kind of went over. Work doesn't pay for alcohol and I had a few drinks on our trip and then souvenirs. I put all of my work spending on like one credit card just so I can kind of track it and easily pay that off. And I think out of pocket myself, I'm gonna have about $250 of expenses. Part of that is, and like technically it could go in miscellaneous shopping, but I did not pack a dress on this trip and we had a formal dinner on the Friday night. So I had to drive to H&M and go buy a dress and like shoes because I had nothing, tights. So I did spend about $120 on shoes, tights, and a dress from H&M for our formal dinner, which like I had to get. So that's also in travel. So my travel spending really was only around $125. Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So this is the plan for the income for October. And then in terms of expenses, I really want to try and keep our groceries down. I think that we can definitely manage that because Matt and I take turns buying groceries. And it is a bit hard to predict because some months I'll buy more than he does. But overall, I'd like to see us as a household not spending more than $400, $500 a month on groceries. Eating out $100, pretty standard. We don't have anything special this month. And if anything, we'll eat out a bit less because it's Thanksgiving and we have a lot of dinners. Coffee, $30. Miscellaneous shopping, I put $150 because I want to order a, is it called a pea coat? Those tan coats. Mine ripped and I love a pea coat for like just like late fall, early winter. So I think I'm gonna get one from Old Navy. I'm eyeing one that's about like $70. I just got my nails done, so they'll be fine for the whole month pretty much. We don't have any pet food or anything we need. Car and gas will be higher. I actually have to go get an oil change today and gas and all that stuff. So I'm just budgeting $300 on the high side. Home, I put $500. You're probably like, what girl? Now that we're back from our trips and stuff, Matt is like full send on some home projects and he usually plans all like the initial meet and greets and assessments and all that stuff when it comes to like engineers and plumbers. And I know he has a few things he wants to get like assessed this month. So I just want to put that money aside. We need to have like a plumber out this month and then also a structural engineer. I think we're going to pick one of the two, but I just want to have the money put aside just on the safe side. Activities, I put 100. I think we're going to try and go to the pumpkin patch at night when they do like their haunted wagon ride and stuff. Budgeting $250. Basically the remainder of my credit card after work reimburses me and like what I have to pay off will be what goes in this category. Hobbies, $50. That's like if I bought a game or a new coloring book. I do expense all of my books with work, which is why you guys don't see books in my budget. I do try to use the library as much as possible because I do a lot of book reviews and book content on this channel. I am able to expense my books at the discretion of my accountant. So this is just any other hobbies that I don't talk about as much in my videos. And then seasonal, I put 100, whether it's like maybe some clearance Halloween or fall items. I love to grab things kind of towards the end of the month when they go on sale. So I already did that at Michael's. They were like 60% off the other day. So I grabbed a few little things. Those are the expenses for the month. Sales and subscriptions are pretty standard. Nothing changed. The only thing I added was my Xbox Game Pass. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this. I had a free trial for the first month last month and I'll kind of just see if I use it. And if I don't use it much this month, I'll cancel it. And then, okay, here's where I want to start kind of highlighting these things. So business pay, let's put that in pink. Will go in my emergency fund. I want to put aside $500 a month until the end of the year just to hopefully get that fully funded. I don't think I need to pay myself $3,000. I think that's way too much money. Let's just do $2,000 and see if that works. I think that would be better. Yeah. I think that's gonna be totally fine, because 500 and then 500, that makes sense. Okay, then we're gonna put 250 into our travel sinking fund. As soon as we get back from a trip, we always start contributing to our travel sinking fund again, just because that's something important to us. And so usually that's pretty depleted when we come back from a trip, so we always add to it. That way, if we decide, not like spontaneously, but Matt has to plan his vacation 5 to 6 months out of work, just as a nurse, union rules and all that stuff. Matt is talking about planning something for February or March and kind of like breaking up the winter this year. And it's nice to just kind of start putting money aside now. That way, if we need to make a deposit on something, we already have some money put aside. And then I'm gonna put 250 aside for celebration, which is Christmas. I wanna start my Christmas shopping. That is where the business pay is going this month. And this is good to know too, because then if, let's say, we don't end up spending anything on our home, I can go ahead and pay myself a little bit less because I don't need that $500 anymore. So that's what I'm gonna try and do, and it just kind of helps me visualize it too, as like a very visual person, or like the planned budget, and I guess we'll see how it goes. So once the previous month's budget is closed out and this month's budget is set up, I always like to pay off any credit card balances that I have, but because I'm filming this already in October, I've already done that, so my credit cards are zeroed out. And now I guess we can do a little bit of check-in in terms of like savings and investments and see how we're doing. That way, if I ever have any extra money at the end of the month and my rollover is higher, I kind of know I can put some additional money there. So I'm still trying to figure out what I feel comfortable sharing in terms of like my savings accounts and numbers and investments and stuff. I feel like I put my safety like at the forefront online, and as much as I love the transparency of people sharing like the exact amounts in their bank accounts, part of me also gets scared by that, just with like internet and like getting hacked and all that stuff. I will share like some of them with you guys, and it's not because I have a ton of money saved. Don't worry. It's not like I'm a millionaire or anything. I'm trying to keep like safe rainy day savings, which is what I call my emergency fund. I'm just trying to change the language of what I called it. We're getting there. We finally passed the $5,000 mark. I feel like I was at the $5,000 mark for all of this year. And as I mentioned, my goal is $10,000 for the whole year. So I'm at $6,000, which is great. We also have a pet emergency fund as well for the girls. We've been adding to that since Stella was a puppy. And that's like completely fully funded if an emergency were to happen, like larger scale. Then we also have our honeymoon account, which is fully funded too, which is great. We did not do like a registry or a bridal shower or anything, just because we obviously live together. We don't really need anything. And so we told people that if you wanted to contribute, which was not necessary by any means, we were doing a honeymoon fund. And because of just how kind everyone was at our reception, our honeymoon fund is fully funded, which is incredible. If you guys are watching this and you came to our reception or gave us a card after elopement, we appreciate you so much. And the nice thing is that there will be a vlog, so you guys can feel like you came on our honeymoon with us. But that is fully funded for our trip to France next year. And I had to preface that if we did not have a honeymoon fund or money put aside for our France trip in May next year, we would not be traveling over the winter. The only reason we are is because our honeymoon fund is fully funded right now. We normally travel between January and May anyways, like on our own dime, able to do that because our honeymoon fund is fully funded. Just want to preface that that is a lot of travel, and if we were paying for our honeymoon out of pocket, we would not be going on a trip in February or March at all. I think, yeah, so that is in a high yield savings account, and it's earning 4% interest every month, which is great. So those are my accounts with Wealthsimple. Then I also have 2 investment accounts. I do all my investing with Wealthsimple, and most of my savings accounts are with Wealthsimple. Okay, I have 4 main sinking funds. I do these within Neo because the Neo credit card and my savings accounts are all tied together. I'm very visual. I like to keep things separate. So my Neo credit card is very much like my sinking fund credit card. And so my celebration and holiday fund has $250. My goal is $750 for like Christmas and stuff. Fund money is at 0, but that's not an account I really put a lot of focus on all the time. If I ever like want to go shopping or plan like a little day trip to the States, I put money aside here and there in that account. Our travel fund is, well, currently at $100, but it will be at 0. And Matt and I need to kind of reconvene and plan what we want to do in February and March for a trip. So that goal amount is TBD. And then my home sinking fund has 0 right now in it, just because we've used money from the last few months in there. Want to add some money into that. That will probably have 500 by the end of the month. I like to keep that around 1,000. So that's kind of where my accounts are at. And after reviewing these, this is a good chance for me to kind of see like, okay, going forward, this is what I want to do. Or for me personally, it kind of helps like motivate me, especially at the beginning of a month. Like, okay, I want to get this account to $750, which means I'm not going to do a lot of personal spending this month, and I'm going to kind of like hustle and post more videos and all that kind of stuff. It really motivates me to kind of look at these numbers at the beginning of the month, keep me on the direction of saving and investing. So that's all from the personal side. And then quickly I wanted to run through like my business finances and the subscriptions and bills I pay on there, because I realized I never really talk about it. And there's probably things that you see me vlog about, but they're not in the budget. And you're like, girl, where are you paying for that? If you see something I'm talking about in a video that isn't in my personal budget, it's because it's in my business budget. My Kobo is a great example. I talked about how I really wanted to invest in a Kobo again. And because I planned on filming like an ultimate Kindle versus Kobo comparison video, I did put the Kobo through the business because I'm gonna be talking about it a lot and filming a lot of content around it. The home projects that we do with Remax, of course, we're creating that content for Remax, so we're able to expense those projects. Anything for my home office, because my home office is my dedicated business space, I can write off in there, like my monitor, furniture, paint, curtains, all that kind of stuff. Anything I need for filming, cameras, memory cards, dongles, all that goes through the business as well. And then I have certain subscriptions that go through the business. So I thought I would kind of take you guys through those in case you were curious. I got a new account this year, and she basically said to me that you want to put as much as you can in your business name to, of course, lower like your taxable income. As an incorporation, my tax rate is 12.5%, so it is lower than a sole proprietor that goes based off of income levels. So it's kind of nice because I always know how much to put aside for taxes, but my accountant was basically like, here are the things that you can write off, you know, your internet, your phone, your office expenses, your subscriptions, all of that, your mileage. And you want to write off as much as you can without crossing a line of using the system, I guess, or like sketchy write-offs, because at the end of the day, it's like helping your business. So my phone bill and the internet goes through the business, or we have like a better internet for me to upload videos on. Then here's the list of all the subscriptions that the business pays for. A lot of these are yearly just because you save a little bit of money. So Google Storage, Epidemic Sound, which is my copyright free music, Canva, how I make my thumbnails and stuff, and then TubeBuddy, which is find good keywords and tags to put in my videos so it's searchable. And then monthly I pay for my Google domain, which is like my email address. I do pay for book of the month with my business since I do review those books and talk about them. Everand, which is the audiobook subscription service that I use. QuickBooks, I use for my accounting, and then YouTube Premium. And so those are all of the subscriptions that the business pays for. And when it comes to the business and like my monthly budgeting with the business, I do something a little bit different. So obviously my bills come out just like they would with my personal account. I leave everything in there, and I only do like a once a month payday routine with the business. So because I get paid from YouTube on the 21st or 22nd of the month, and then I get paid from brand deals on Fridays, if any come in, like I can go 3-4 months without getting paid from a brand deal, or I could get paid every Friday in a month. It really depends. I leave it for the whole month. So I don't touch my business account until like the 30th of the month, or like 28th, 29th of the month. The thing I do is I transfer money into my tax account right off of the bat. So I add up all of the income from the month. My tax rate is 12.5%, but I like to play it safe because there's obviously HST and stuff. So I always put aside about 25% tax account, which is a high yield savings account. And then I pay off my credit cards with all those business expenses on it. This has, you know, the bills, the subscriptions, and then any expenses that I incur that month. So let's say I was going to Indigo and I'm filming content for Indigo on TikTok, and I bought books at Indigo to show in that haul for that sponsored video. That's a business expense. When I film my Thrift With Me videos, I expense those because I am thrifting for the vlog and then showcasing what I get. That's what goes on my business credit card. When I filmed my Aperol brand deal and we did the whole like Italian date night at home, those groceries for that specific meal went on my business credit card because I was creating that content for Aperol. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. Then if I were to send myself a dividend, I would send that over. And then I do have like a business travel sinking fund just because we do a lot of travel through work with Disney or with tourism boards and stuff like that, or vlogging stuff. So I try to put money aside in a travel sinking fund every month, and then the rest kind of stays there as a bit of a buffer. And as far as I know, you can't invest any business money in Canada, at least. And if you know of any ways to do that, let me know. If I feel guilty for paying myself, I guess the least I could do is invest that money for the business and make some money, like interest wise. So actually, you know, I should probably ask my accountant that, really. That's kind of a little bit of the breakdown on like how I do my business finances as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know how September was for you. Let me know if you're looking forward to anything in October. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.